How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Ball to Bold Miniseries. As you know, the Ball to Bold Miniseries is an opportunity for Come Home to bring men together to talk through the ups and downs of their hair loss journey. Every time we have an episode, it's always going to be real talk from real men. Speaking of real men, today we got my guy Chuma on the episode. Chuma, talk to the people. Let them know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, fun facts, favorite sports team, whatever it could be. Break it down to the folks, Brody.
All right, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me, Kenny. So as he said, my name is Chuma Ezeokoli. I was born and raised in Chicago, north side of Chicago to be exact. So I'm definitely a Bulls fan, definitely a Cubs fan. I'm not really into baseball like that, but I got to rep the Cubs. I'm still from the north side. I am currently living in Houston, Texas. And I would say for a fun fact, so while we're talking about grooming and just looking good and feeling good and all that kind of stuff, I actually got voted, and when I was in high school, they do like the senior notables and superlatives. I actually got voted best dressed and most likely to be an image consultant. So this has been like coming through.
You've been driven since a youngin.
Yeah, exactly. Since I was a kid.
No doubt. So Chuma is actually a good friend of mine from work. We met in what, 2018?
Yeah,
2018. So. We were both doing consulting at the time. I was actually Chuma's supervisor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so, believe it or not, I was a great supervisor. Let them know.
No, Kenny was the best supervisor. Like, I honestly feel like hands down, like when I think about the supervisor I had after Kenny, I was just like, wow, y'all are kind of trash. So yeah. No, hands down, the best supervisor.
You already know. So we go way back, man, and I'm happy to have you on the episode today, man, because me and you talked a lot about your hair loss journey when we were working together. Yeah. So to kind of see your transition, see you today rocking the ball, killing it, rocking it with confidence. It's a beautiful thing, man. So, I've been telling you to come home for years, but now people got to hear the story to really understand kind of what you went through. Because we've talked about it. A lot of men go through a lot of emotional trauma, deal with a lot of embarrassment, anxieties, whatever it may be when they're going through that hair loss journey. I went through it. You went through it a bit too. And I want to start digging to your story, bro. So let's start from the 10 out, man. Let's start from the top. Tell the people about the first time you realized you were losing your hair, but also talk about what your hair meant for you before you realized that, right? Like, what kind of hair did you rock back in the day? Did you have braids at any point? So what did your hair look like prior to you actually realizing you started balding? And then we'll go into the actual balding story.
Okay. So to be honest, I would say my experience with hair loss actually dates back probably a solid 10 years now. Back when I was in high school. So I remember, being a high school kid, like a teenager, you're going to the barber shop, you're getting your hair cut, you're rocking your fade with pride, but I would go home and I'll be brushing my hair and I would notice I had a little patch right here that was thinner than every other part of my head. And I feel like, at certain points, even the barbers are kind of be like, oh yeah, you lose a hair right there, they would say little things and stuff. But even though that happened to me my sophomore year, my junior year of high school, I want to say by senior year, it actually kind of started to come back. And then all throughout undergrad, it kind of went away. So I had a full head of hair again and I didn't have to worry. And then to be honest, when I was in grad school, I had my hair grown out, out. Like folks thought I was Childish Gambino or something like that. I had my hair grown out, everything. And so again, I didn't really think that I had any issues with hair loss. But the one thing I will say is I want to say probably late 2016, early 2017, even with my hair grown out, black hair, you can feel how thick it is and everything, but I would feel real thin right here. So it was that same spot that I remember being thin when I was in high school that was still kind of giving me a little bit of, trouble and everything, even when I had my hair grown out. And then fast forward to mid 2017, I graduated from grad school and I did a public health fellowship in Nigeria. And to keep up with the professional look in Nigeria, I cut all my hair off. And I feel that was kind of what really, really ended up expediting things, because I feel the moment the clippers went over my head, it was never the same. So I was in Nigeria, getting my hair cut. I was still at the barbershops out there. And that was when I noticed that it was visibly different. I started noticing, okay, the rest of my hair grow out, but right here is super thin. And even in the middle of my head. So at that point it was two patches. It was right here and right here. So I started noticing at that point that I was losing hair to the
Hey,
point
bro,
where,
I gotta stop you there, Chuma, because I got a question, man. I think a lot of people watching are gonna be asking this question. So you slide to Nigeria, and maybe
yeah,
you have talked tons about your experience in Nigeria, how life changing it was. But
yeah.
when you first get out there, bro, was it like, were you comfortable hitting the barbershop out there, or were you a little nervous at first? Like, what was the vibes? Because, like, even in the States, people switching barbers is already, you're like, yo, I'm not trying to do that. So when
I
you
feel it.
get back home to Nigeria, was you like, were you just hopping in anybody's chair? Did you have to peep, like, wait, what's man's working with? How did that work out?
So lucky. When I went to Nigeria, I had a whole bunch of cousins around me, and all my cousins had like, they were already going to the barbershop consistent, like every week. I feel like they'd be like, "Oh yeah, bro, I'm about to be back on Saturdays." It was like a routine for them. They would go to the barbershop, and I'm like, "Where are y'all going?" So one day I just went with them, and they always had nice haircuts. And so I
Yeah.
think that for me, I kind of like went off of what I saw and like knew to be okay. Well, this is a barber that knows what he's doing. And so that same dude, I can't remember his name now. I think his name was Toastin, if I remember correctly. I just remember like I was like, I'm going to Toastin. Like when I go to the barbershop, it's always gonna be that barbershop with that barber Toastin because he hooked my cousins up. So I got lucky, and that was the only barbershop I went to for the whole time I was out there. So I understand what you mean. Like you can't just be out here trusting anybody, just going to anybody. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. So I always went to the dude that cut all my cousins' hair.
All right, so you already kind of had a reference from your cousins and your fam, so
Right.
you're solid. Okay, okay. Just want to make sure you wasn't going out there risking it all. You know what I'm saying?
No, 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 I can't do that. So, no, no. It was definitely like a reference. Like they'd already referred me to him. So I was kind of like, okay. And I seen his work because I was seeing them,
Okay,
So
bet,
it
bet,
was
bet.
like,
All right, so you started noticing two spots you were thinning in. So what's happening now?
yeah, so I'm noticing two spots that's thinning out, and I'm like, wow, like what's going on? And then I had left Nigeria and I came back to Chicago. I have very dramatic Nigerian parents. So the first thing that they commented on was my bald spot. And, they kept saying, like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. Like, this is like end of 2017. Then, we met in 2018. I think I was telling you about it. You were like, bro, you got to come home. Like, it is what it is. And I'm like, no, like, I refused to accept it at that point. Like, I thought, because okay, so let me go back for a second. So I'm the only boy in my family. I have all sisters, and I want to say all of my sisters, well, no, two of my sisters, they also lost hair like right here, right in the middle of their heads at different points, and they had to go see like dermatologists and go get some like prescriptions and use different products and stuff like that for their hair to come back. And then me and all my sisters, we all lost hair like right here. And it's a genetic thing that runs on my mom's side of the family because my mom had that too. And
Okay.
so to be honest, with my sisters being like females, like they're rocking their hair, they're rocking weaves, wigs, whatever. So it's like covered. But with me getting lined up, it was way more noticeable that I had a patch right there that was missing. And so I remember that. And then I kind of like, had a little experience with this and with that. But to be honest, I don't think I realized I was balding. I thought those were isolated incidents. So I was just kind of like, oh, I wonder what's going on. Something kind of weird, something genetic. I'll get it worked out. So
Okay.
I didn't actually accept that this is hair loss. Like I think at the time I just thought something weird is kind of happening right now because I knew like my family members were experiencing it too. So I didn't think it was actual hair loss, if that makes
I got a
sense.
question for you then, bro, because now I hate to circle back to your mom's, but you said you come back from Nigeria and your parents were giving you jokes, but your
Yeah.
mom already knew this was something that she dealt with. It was kind of hereditary. So how she gonna serve up jokes?
And that's the thing. She was being so shady.
Wow.
Like she was just yeah, she was being so shady. Like I remember she just kept like saying stuff like even when I had like a hood on, she's like, "What's this?" And she'll pull my hood off and I'm sitting down and be like, "What's going on with your head?" And it's like, I mean, you had the same thing going on. Like I'm getting this from
Love the
you.
style,
So,
man.
yeah, like she was just so petty. Like she would be like, coming in my head, like laughing and stuff, telling me how like this doesn't make sense and how I look ridiculous. I'm only at the time I think I was 25, maybe she's like, you're 25, looking like going on 55. Like, where's your hair at? Just cracking all these jokes and stuff. And I'm like, dang, like always calling attention to it. So I was not gonna lie, I started to feel some type of way because I was like, what's going on in my head? Like, I don't understand. But I didn't realize it was actual like hair loss. I think when I talked to you about it early 2018, you're like, bro, you got to come home, and I still wasn't even ready to accept that at the time. I'm like, no, no, no. Like if anything, it's just something weird is happening. Maybe I've been stressing too much. Maybe my hair's starting to fall out a little bit because of stress. Like it can't be that. And so to be honest, I still didn't think it was actual hair loss. And then, at the time I lived in Atlanta,
Yep.
and so I had a friend, actually, yeah. So I had a friend. She's Indian. She was in Atlanta, and she was telling me like, oh, her ex he went to, I think it was like Istanbul and Turkey or Dubai, one of the two,
Yeah,
to go get
Turkey's
like,
actually I think I don't want not the hot spot. I don't know the word to use, but like the hair transplant capital of the world.
yeah, hair transplant capital for sure. Yeah. Cause she told me like her dude went out there and got a transplant and like all the hair was fine at that point. So she was telling me like, you should consider doing that. And I'm like, nah, that's not really sitting well with me. Like, I don't see myself flying across the world to go get a hair transplant. So she said that. And I was like, nah, I don't see that happening.
That's funny, man, because even at that time, you know what I'm saying, we were the consultants. So my dog had the miles to do it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
But he was like, nah, I'm not with that.
Nah, it just felt too like unnatural. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then our mutual friend, Alamia, she'll be cracking jokes like, oh, like, you live in Atlanta. Atlanta is like hair capital for Black people, men and women. Like, dudes are rocking lace fronts in Atlanta too. And barbers out there, they know how to cut and style it and make it look normal. So you should just go ahead and invest in a lace front that's gonna run this way. So you don't have to worry anymore. And I was like, that's definitely unnatural. And I'm definitely not doing that either. So I feel like, all throughout, like I said, like the hair loss really kind of seemed like it expedited or kind of like accelerated, if anything, in 2017 and 2018. And then by 2019, I can't remember if I told you this, Kenny, but I actually started using Rogaine essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, and my hair started coming back. So I was kind of like, oh, okay.
You didn't tell me that, but I do remember you hit me up being like, yo, I'm back. Like, cause you low-key were back. And I was like, yo, that's crazy.
Exactly.
My man's coming back.
Yeah, exactly. So I started using Rogaine probably like February 2019. Or maybe it was in January. I can't even remember now. But I think it was early 2019. And my hair was back and full and everything.
Yeah.
So I got comfortable and I stopped using it, I think around like May or June. And once I stopped using it, all of my hair started coming out. Like, bro, I would wash my hair and everything after going to the barbershop, and I would just be seeing like hair follicles, like, and I'm thinking like, oh, that's the hair that just got cut. It's no big deal. But after a while, like it was like more and more was coming out, and I would look in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, the patches that were full, they're patches all over again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was pretty real. So at that point,
that's really, I'm glad you brought that up because, on some of the other ball to ball, we've talked about Rogaine, we've talked about Propecia, but we haven't really talked to men that actually used it and been through that experience. So hearing your take on it is dope because you actually went through it. You saw the benefits, but you must ain't read the tiny letters. You didn't read the tiny words, bro. At the back of the box, it says you gotta use this So think about Rogaine, it's nonstop usage. If you stop using it, your hair loss will speed back up rapidly, even faster, and it'll start to fall out again. And obviously, Chuma can tell you that story. He's been through it. So that's super dope to tell that story, man, because people need to understand the product that you're using. Some of these things may actually help your hair come back, but it is a lifetime decision, something that you have to do every day for the rest of your lives. And a lot of men aren't willing to have to use that product every single day just to keep their hair. So obviously, Chuma, it looks like you started falling out. And did you decide to start using it again, or what happened then?
No, so I think like it started falling out again, and I think at that point I was just kind of like, okay, like what's really going on? Like I don't understand because I like again, in my heart of hearts, I wasn't balding. Like I kept telling myself,
I know you wasn't, bro. We talked about it too.
Yeah, so I was like, no, like that's not what it is. So I was trying to figure out what was going on, and then like this is probably kind of like end of summer, like / fall of 2019, and then I think I remember, yeah. So actually, at that point, when I would go to the barbershop, they had started using microfibers. Like they would cut my hair, and they would basically fill up my patches with microfibers, and just be like, oh, just go to sleep with the do-rag on, shower with your do-rag on. You should be straight. After about a week or so, it might start to fade, but at that point, you'll need to come back for another haircut anyway. We'll reapply it for you. So I feel like I went on like a 2 to 3 month journey of using microfiber, to be honest, to cover up the bald spots. And then,
my question: was the barber charging you more to add this? Was this like an extra service to microfiber, or was it the same price as a regular cut?
It was the same price as regular cut, but this was a guy that I knew from when I was like, I think 14, 15. So he never charged me extra. I do know at a lot of barbershops, it's an extra, charge. They upcharge you for that for sure. I didn't get that upcharge only probably because I had already known him from like, way back.
Yeah. And you know what else, bro? I don't know if you know this now. I was talking to some homies You know, the on the other side, you know, they still got hair. Um, and yo, apparently there's been quite a bit of inflation in the haircut market these days, bro. Yo,
Yeah,
back in
yeah,
my day, like cuts were 20 a dub. I'm hearing
yeah.
folks get haircuts for $50 now, $40 on the regular.
Yep, exactly. It's crazy how much it's gotten, to be these days because like you said, like when I was growing up, I want to say I was probably dropping 15, 20 when I was a teenager. And then even into college, I think I was still, like other students and everything, they might be like, oh yeah, bro, slime me like $10, $15, something like that. If you went to an actual barbershop where I went to school, it was about 20. So I was still used to paying that. I get to barbershops as an adult, like I moved to Atlanta, we're talking about, no, actually, even before I moved to Atlanta, when I was still in Chicago, we're talking about 45, 50, 55, 60. And I'm like, for a haircut, like,
Yuck.
what's up? Yeah. And then I moved to Atlanta where I'm thinking, oh, it's the South. It's gonna be cheaper than Chicago. No, it wasn't. Oh, it was the same thing. Like you're dropping like 35, 40, 45 on a regular for a haircut. And when you're like, for somebody like me, it's crazy because I'm balding right here, but the rest of my hair grows really fast. So I'm getting a haircut almost every week. You're
Yep.
dropping $45 every single week getting your haircut. It's crazy.
Shoot.
So yeah, I mean, it racks up when you don't even realize it.
By the way, y'all listening, this is us talking about the cost savings that you get when you actually come home, right? So let's just see what we was getting to that a little bit just now. We might get to it again later, but think about that. The cost savings is coming home, man. We trying to save y'all some bread too. So all right, so all right, back to your story, bro. Back to your story.
Okay. So yeah, so I think, I had got used to the whole microfiber thing after I noticed like I stopped using Rogaine and the patches were patches all over again. So they were using microfibers and then, early 2020, the pandemic started.
Yep.
So everything closed unless it was an essential business. So I wasn't going back to the barbershop anymore. And so at that point, I'm in my house, and I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but I actually do know how to cut my own hair. Like I got clippers, liners, all that kind of stuff. And so back in undergrad, because like at certain points it was getting harder and harder to find a good a good barber to go to. So I just learned off of YouTube and I started cutting my own hair.
Okay.
And so during the pandemic, I was kind of like, okay, we're going back to basics. Like I'm just gonna be cutting my own hair. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it's because it's been so long. I had lost some of my guards, so I just got used to like going real low because I was like, oh dang, I don't have my guards. Like I'm just gonna use like nothing. I'm just gonna go low. And so I kind of already started to like explore what being bald looked like during the pandemic because I started cutting my hair a lot lower than what I was normally used to. And when I had did that, some of the feedback that I got from like females is like really good feedback. So I was
Uh-oh.
kind of like, oh,
Uh-oh.
okay.
Talk that talk. Talk that talk.
so, so yeah, because I think so. Like at the time, so okay, I was dating a girl, and I was telling her about like my situation with my hair, and she was just like, "No, like I think a bald look would look really good on you." So I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. She gave me a lot of confidence to go bald because she kept telling me how great it looked
So,
on me.
bro, one, I didn't know you were dating this somebody at that time, but I
Yeah,
think that's to me, you hit on something that I want to talk about here. Is you were relatively open with Shorty about or that woman about your hair loss.
yeah.
How long were y'all dating where you felt you could be that open, or was it just like you got to a point where you didn't feel like it was a big deal anymore, so you could be open? Because I mean, you went through phases where you went with the Rogaine, you went with the microfiber, so obviously you were trying to hide it. What made you feel comfortable enough to be like, you know what, yeah, I'm going through this to this woman?
Okay, that's a good question. I would say
I got some of the good questions now, bro, man. I be getting deep, man.
you began to do for real. So I would say I think for me, like I just kind of felt like, I mean, it is what it is. Like, if you ever see me, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not using Rogaine, and you go ahead and run your hand across my head for whatever reason, you're gonna see that you got a whole little black streak on your hand now, because that's my microfibers. You know what I mean? So I can't really be around you like that without you really like picking up on it at some point. So it's really nothing to hide. Like I might as well just tell you. So I think that like, that was probably part of it, a little bit of pressure on me for that. But I think the other thing was just kind of like, to be honest, I think I slowly, especially after my conversation with you, I think I started to realize like it's actually it's a lot more common than you realize. Like you're not the only person that kind of goes through these things. So I think that like that was kind of what made me a little more comfortable just being open with it. Because at first I was kind of like, dang, like what's going on? Like at the time I was like, what, 26, 27, and I was losing my hair. So it's like, how is that? Like that sounds unheard of to be going through hair loss in your 20s. But realistically, a lot of people experience that, right? So I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about, Alamida's husband. I'm thinking about other people that I can think of, really. Like one of my cousins, who's also back in Chicago, he lost his hair at like 28. And so he's completely bald as well. But he was like really ashamed of it. So this dude rocks caps, like hats all day long. But for example, when my cousin got married, his sister, he couldn't do that. Right, he was a groomsman, so he had to go at the wedding. He was at the wedding without a hat on, and so everybody was like, "Oh, this man's like bald." And like I knew he was bald, but most people didn't know it because he always wears hats to just kind of cover up.
We call that hat fishing, bro.
That is half fishing for real. So I think I was just thinking about some of the people around me. I'm like, I mean, they've been through it, and they came out on the other side, and they're fine. So I don't know that I need to keep hiding this. I think that was kind of my thought process, if anything. So I just told her, like, this is where I'm at. Like my hair's falling out. So, so she started laughing and she was like, no, I mean, like, I think like being bald is a good look on you, and this, that, and the third. So yeah, I don't know. Like, Kenny, do you know who Banky W is?
Yeah, come on, man. Why you trying to do me like that?
No, I'm just asking. I don't want to assume. So I'm just asking. She's trying to compare me to him a lot because she's like, I mean, y'all are like close in complexion. He's bald. He got a beard. Like, at the end of the day, he still pulled his wife. So like, you shouldn't let being bald like actually be a reason to like make you feel any type of way, because a bald man who kind of to me favors you, or you kind of favor him, he came out on the other side. He's fine. Like he has a beautiful woman in his arm and everything. So like that shouldn't be a reason for you to feel like, less than, or feel like you're inadequate in any type of way just because you're losing your hair. So that was, I think, another thing that kind of stood out to me. So yeah.
That's a real
yeah,
one.
I mean, it was a
She was a
situation.
real one. Sounds like you don't date her anymore. But shout out to her for being a real one while she was a real one.
Yeah. So to be honest, we were together for like, I don't know, probably a year, a little under a year and a half. I think it was a year and 4 months, something like that. So yeah, under a year and a half. But yeah, she was a real one for sure. She gave me a lot of, confidence in pulling off a ball look, because I didn't really have the confidence at the time. I think I told you flat out, I was like, I don't have the head shape for that, Kenny. Like, I look like a milk dud. So I can't see myself doing that. So yeah, I didn't think it was gonna work, but I mean, it did.
Okay. So wait, so you had that conversation with her. She was like, yo, I think you might look fine with the ball. Is that the same day that you were like, forget it? I'm gonna chop it off, or what?
No, actually it's not. So to be honest, I feel like we had a talk. So, that initial lockdown was kind of like what I think maybe March of 2020 to maybe like May or June.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it varies from city to city. I know some cities.
Yeah. Ooh, I was about to say, bro, I don't remember. As far as I know, in Michigan, the lockdown really probably didn't end until, I mean, it was pretty much all summer for us. So when you said the initial, I was like, what was you doing out there in Chicago?
No, so Chicago was kind of the same way. If I'm being honest with you, like I didn't do anything. Like nothing was open. I mean, we weren't going to the grocery store. I wasn't taking a walk outside. I mean, I literally did nothing during that lockdown period. So Chicago was definitely on lockdown. Nothing was open. But I want to say oh no. Actually, I think Chicago's lockdown was from I think March till around like mid or like end of June, because I remember when I was interviewing for a job, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna go get a professional cut. I'm not gonna cut it myself. I'm gonna go actually to the barbershop. And the barbershops had opened the week that I was trying to go. So that's why I remember this. I think this is around July. I went to the barber, he cut my hair. Haircut was nice. It was a good fade and everything. But again, this was like still noticeable. I looked in the mirror, that was still a thing. And I'm like, this is not going to work. This is not sustainable for me. And so I think I went through my whole interview and everything. And this is for the job that, brought me down to Houston, which is where I live now. And so I think that if anything, right after that was my last time going to the barber in Chicago. And shortly after I moved to Houston, I think I was just kind of, okay, well, I switched jobs. Now that my insurance and all that kind of stuff is sorted, let me go ahead and schedule an appointment with the dermatologist, because everything kind of got put on hold during the initial lockdown. So I initially didn't go to the dermatologist, in the beginning of 2020 when I wanted to. So when I moved to Houston, I went to go see a dermatologist. I specifically was looking for a Black dermatologist. So I feel like he or she will understand our hair a little bit better, and our situation. So I went over there, and at that point, she had me fill out like a survey and was asking about like my mom's family, my dad's family backgrounds when it comes to hair loss and all that kind of stuff. So I was explaining everything to her, and as we were having this conversation, it clicked to me like, okay, my dad is bald, my grandfather on my mom's side was bald. All the men on my mom's side, they're all bald. They all lost their hair probably by like 40 years old.
Wait, hold on. Your dad is bald?
My dad is bald, yeah.
And he was giving you jokes too?
Nah, he didn't give me jokes. My mom gave me jokes.
Okay.
So
Just
dad
my,
just,
all right.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, no, my dad, if anything, he just comments like, oh yeah, you're losing hair. He was just saying a lot, like, yeah, what's going on? Like, you're losing hair. So he would say that, but he didn't really crack jokes. Like, he didn't crack on me. My mom cracked on me like a lot. And so I think at that point, when I was having the conversation with her, I really like her being the dermatologist. I guess that was when it kind of clicked to me, like, you really are actually going through like balding. Like you maybe you just weren't ready to accept it before, but that's what it is. You're balding.
People in the pattern.
Yeah. So, when I was talking to her, she was just kind of like, because I think I was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my hair. Da, da, da. She was like, this is early male pattern balding. That's what this is. Like, there's no other, way around it. And she was like, it's probably started for years. It probably started in the past because when you're saying like, you used to have your hair grown out, you used to do this, you used to do that. It makes sense. And one of the things I think we were having a conversation, and that was kind of when it dawned on me that like my lining, bro, used to be like right here. And at that point, it's already moving like back here. You know what I mean? So it was like slowly, like I feel like the hair was losing, was being lost. And then, like I said, like, I had a first patch here, second patch there. So it was kind of like, I mean, yeah, this is really what it is. Like, this is balding. So I had that conversation with her, and she told me that she could write me a prescription to start taking medication that would slow down the progression of like hair loss.
Okay.
And, it was like, is that something that you want to do? And to be honest, after having that conversation with her, I don't want to say that was my aha moment, but low key, that was kind of like my aha moment where I was like, no, like if this is natural, then this is natural. I'm not about to have you give me prescriptions and start taking medication to slow down what's already going to happen, because I don't think that makes the most sense. And so I told her I was going to think about it, and I had left. And I called up my girl and I told her, like, yeah, so it's official. I'm balding. And she's like, I mean, I could have told you that. And I was just like, yeah, like this is what she said to me. And so, she told me that she felt like it wouldn't be an issue. She's like, I think you can pull off like a bald look really, really well. Like, I don't think you need to be worried about it. And I was like, no, like, I told her the same thing I told you, Kenny. Like, I think I'm gonna look like a milk dud. Like, I just don't see myself being able to make it work. And she was like, no, like, you'll be fine. I'm like, nah. So I was still kind of like, in denial, I guess. Well, I wasn't in denial. I accepted the fact that I was balding. I just didn't know if I could make the whole bald look really work.
Yep.
And then, I don't know. I think I came home. I just thought about it for like a few days and stuff. I had told one of my friends, one of my good friends here in Houston about it. And so I want to say all this is probably in like August of 2020. Okay. Or maybe early September. No, you know what? This is September. I'm sorry, because this is right after my birthday. My birthday is September. So yeah, this is in September. And at that point, I just felt like, you know what? Like, I'm not even about to play anymore. Like, if I'm bald, let me get in front of this shit. In front of this, So I'm just gonna go ahead and, I'm just gonna go ahead and go bald. Yeah. So I had called my barber out here in Houston. He was also a referral from one of my good like friends that lives out in the burbs. He told me like, yeah, bro, go to Jermaine. Jermaine's really dope and blah, blah, blah. So I called Jermaine up. I was like, I think I need a haircut. He's like, how you want to do it? I'm like, cut it all off. Like, I'm completely going bald. He was like, what? So
you call me to do what now?
Yeah, he said, what? I was like, cut it all off. Like, I'm about to go bald. So he was like, okay. And I remember pulling out my phone. Funny enough, I had actually, Kenny, you were the first person I texted right after. I think I texted all bro, I'm about to come home. So I texted you. And then I think that I had probably posted on Instagram, like, about to officially become bald or something like that on my Instagram story. And then I had posted on my story, the dude cut everything off. So I was officially bald as of September 19th. So it hasn't even been like, too long, I guess. But September 19th was the day I went bald for sure. And it was funny because I think I had only posted like the first picture when I was in the chair, with like the everything on, like about to go bald. And that was all that I posted. bro, when I tell you my inbox was like flooded, people were like, we want to see what it looks like. What do we want to see what it looks like? What does it look like? So I was like, okay. And one of my friends that also used to work at Huron, but she was on the higher education side, she lives out here in Houston as well. So funny enough, you know, I told her to come with me for moral support. So she was actually at the barbershop with me. She was at the barbershop with me, and then we went back to I think maybe her crib or something. And so I remember I was in her bathroom because I remember I taking a picture in the mirror when I was completely bald that day. And so when people started blowing up my phone, like, what's up? What's up? Like, what does it look like? What does it look like? You know, in my inbox, I was like, oh, so I think, you know what? No, I think I'm telling the story out of order. So I think if anything, I looked at my phone and I saw all these responses like, what does it look like? What does it look like? So I went to her bathroom and then I took a selfie and I was like, yo, like, I guess I'm ready to catch all the breezes now, you know, on my head. So I posted that. And I mean, when I tell you like the responses that I got had me like, wow, talk about a confidence booster. Like people were like, yeah, they're like, Chuma, like this looks so good on you. Like, I love the look. It's great. It suits you. You got the beard. Now you got the bald look, you know, this, that, and the third. It was just a whole bunch of positive feedback started pouring in.
Bro,
and I never had it coming.
I was trying to tell you to come home for all these years.
Yeah, you were.
Finally come home, and now you see the reception you received, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to do you wrong, bro.
No, it's true. It's true. And the funny thing was, you know, of course, it was like a whole bunch of females, bro, that were just like, this looks so good on you. It suits you. Like, you look so good right now. You know, this, that, and the third. I'm glad you went bald. Like, I love this look on you. You know, that kind of thing. And I was just like, wow, like, I definitely didn't see that coming because, you know, again, I had thought this is just not going to work for me. But I mean, yeah. And then the funny thing is, a bunch of females, of course, were like in my DMs telling me that it looks really nice and, you know, all this kind of stuff. But then a lot of the dudes around me started saying, like, bro, like, I'm trying to pull off the look that you have. Like, they started saying that, like, the more I started being, like, you know, on Instagram posting it and everything, because, you know, I had to make a little quick video, like, inducted bald rooms. And when I posted that, you know, like, some of my cousins and everything, they all started being like, bro, like, this is the look I'm going for. I'm like, what look are you talking about? And they're like, being bald. Like, if I could grow my beard out the way you did, then I would definitely go bald. I don't want to rock a look with a fade anymore.
Oh,
I actually have to be bald.
I've been trying to tell people right now, we up right now, bro.
Yeah.
we up 10 right now in the fourth quarter. We up. And people peeping games. So I'm glad you said that because now I can say the same. I definitely know some people actually was surprised to find out there's mad people I know who still have hair, can grow their hair back. They just went bald. It's like, no, I rock with the bald look. This is my vibe. And I was like, yo, I didn't know that was a thing. But I'm really peeping now. It's really a vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's a look that people really peeping now.
For sure, for sure. Because another dude I know out in Dallas, he doesn't have issues with hair loss or anything. He chose to go bald. Like, he told me, like, yeah, I just want to be bald. Like, that's like the wave now. Like, being bald and getting a beard and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what the girls love. Like, that's what dudes are trying to do, really, you know, get up to. So, yeah, he went bald too. And he's not experiencing hair loss. He chose to cut his hair off because he was like, yeah, I want to go for this look. So it was kind of an eye opener for me because I was just like, oh, wow. Like, I was sitting here in denial for a while, you know, not even really accepting the fact that I was actually losing my hair. And meanwhile, like, once I chose to really be like, okay, get in front of it and just go bald and do what you need to do because your hair is going to fall out regardless. So you might as well just embrace it for what it is. All of a sudden, like, the outpours were just crazy, like, positive. So yeah,
you almost missed your blessing, man. And the whole time, all you had to do was come home.
Exactly.
And you know that outpouring of love you got. You know we try to call that over here. Come home. We call that the housewarming. That's the housewarming. When you come home and they show you that love, that's the housewarming, man. So I'm glad they threw you that great shindig right there. But that's how it's supposed to be, man. Like, a lot of guys go through that struggle, and it's definitely a beautiful thing when you receive that love when you finally come home. When I came home myself, the first woman I saw when I came home gave me a compliment. She's like, "Wow, you look good. How old are you?" And I thought she was gonna think I looked older than I actually was, and she thought I was younger. I was like, okay, is this the elixir or something like that? Fountain of youth. So no, that's dope. I'm glad you got that kind of reception, Brody.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So,
That's the funny thing. I'm glad you just said that because I was actually kind of nervous about the same thing. I was thinking like folks are gonna think I'm like 38 now, being bald and stuff like that. So I was nervous, but no, everybody just kept saying like it suits you so well, it's age appropriate. Like you just look like a grown man, but like you don't look like, oh, you're in your 30s. Like you still look like you're 28 years old. You just, at the end of the day, it just looks good on you. So one of the fears that I had was clearly like dispelled because folks didn't think I was old. They just thought it looks nice. So to your point, yeah, it's crazy.
so bro, your come home date was what you said, September 19th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you've been bald now for give or take what, 6 months maybe or so? Give or take 6 months,
Yeah.
7 months maybe, yeah. So, but it sounds like you as soon as you came home, that housewarming was crazy, and you were lit. So would you say right after that you were in your bag already, or did it still take some time to get used to?
Um, okay, so I think that I felt like I was already in my bag from day one. Really, like all that
Nice,
love had me like, okay, yeah, this is it. I'm not going back.
nice.
Um, and so yeah, I felt like that. Only thing is, again, because we're in a pandemic, and I'm living in Houston, shortly after, I want to say by like October, maybe, the number of COVID cases started really, really spiking up out here. And so I was getting a little less comfortable, going to the barbershop, taking off a mask, having them do all this kind of stuff. And so I was kind of trying to figure out like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? Because I'm not about to go back to the barbershop under these conditions.
Mhm.
So so I was already in my bag, but I think I started to get, I kind of panicked a little bit because I didn't know like, when am I going to go back to the barber? Like, what am I going to do? So got on my computer, started looking up what it means to like really be bald, like how you can take care of yourself at home, how you can do it yourself, get an electric barber. So I like the whole like smooth, like clean look. So I started like doing some research, looking stuff up, found a couple of different, like men's like grooming like blogs and stuff like that for Black men specifically. And so I went ahead and like ordered the electric barber or the electric razors that they were telling, they were recommending, did that. And I mean, yeah, I got again, like, I already know how to come out here. So lining myself up isn't really an issue. It was
Yeah.
just more figuring out like what do I need to do for like, my actual head. And once I got that unlocked, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm in my bag, I'm good to go. And there's no looking back. Like I'm never gonna do anything else. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So you kind of already started getting into it. I want to dive in a bit more about your grooming routine. So let's talk a
Okay.
bit more about that because a lot of people think maintaining a bald head is easy, but it's more work than people think. So tell us a
Yeah.
bit more about your grooming routine. You know what I'm saying? Like how often are you shaving? What are you putting on your head? That kind of thing.
Okay. So I would say I like at least once a week,
Okay.
if not really probably every 5 days or so, I'm getting my like therapeutic shaving gel. It has like some oatmeal and a little bit of like oil, like essential oils, I think, in it. It's supposed to be good for like the scalp for Black men.
Yeah.
I'm putting that on my head. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm telling you out of order. So actually, the same like the same like liner like trimmer that I use for like my beard, I actually can run that across my head to get the hairs down as much as I possibly can.
Mhm.
And then once I do that, then I use the shaving cream I was just talking about that has like the oils, vitamin E, and oats and stuff. It's good for Black men. Put that on my head, and then I use an electric razor and go over my head for that smooth like finish.
Okay.
Um, I think that, again, it was a little bit of a journey for me because the first time or first couple of times I did it, I think I was probably going a little too hard, trying to make sure I was really smoothing it out. And
Mhm.
then I caused some irritation and stuff on my scalp. So, and I was struggling with like, ingrown hairs and razor bumps and things like that. But I had kind of realized, okay, well, yeah, don't do that going forward. So this
Question,
might
bro.
be a better.
This is
Mhm.
that's the issue that we know that many a men deal with the razor bumps, ingrown hairs, etc. Can you talk about what you use to help get rid of those? So this might be some major keys for some people.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a brand called Ten Skin. It comes in like a little blue bottle. You can order it off of like Amazon. You can probably even go to like a local beauty supply store and get it. It might be anywhere from like $10 to $15. It's a roll-on. So if anybody's familiar with like roll-on deodorant, it looks just like that. You can literally roll it across your head, and
Okay.
it's like really, really, really effective for preventing and minimizing ingrown hairs, razor bumps, and things of that sort. Alternatively, I think if you have like the skin for it, where your skin's not ridiculously sensitive to it, rubbing alcohol is also really good, from what I understand. for kind of like, being able to reduce like razor bumps and, all that kind of stuff or whatever. For ingrown hairs, I don't know how effective alcohol is, but I do know for razor bumps or like razor irritation in general, if you want to basically go to like the dollar store and go get a spray bottle and put some rubbing alcohol in it and spray your scalp right after you just shaved, that could also be effective from what I understand. I've tried it out a couple of times, and I will say when I've done that, I didn't get a whole bunch of razor bumps, but to be honest, I was doing that in conjunction with 10 skin for razor bumps. So I can't really, I don't know. Like I know 10 skin's always been effective for me as far as razor bumps and ingrown hairs are concerned. I don't know if the alcohol helps like kind of, support that. But I've read that that's effective as well. So, for anybody who's listening, if you want to give that a try, it might work for you.
Sure.
But yeah, so I would say that's kind of what I did. And I would say, so to your point, being bald is something where it's like high maintenance for sure. Cause I mean, the hair follicles start popping up again, like within a couple of days. So you have to stay on it. So I have an electric razor that I use for, like I said, for the purpose of like the whole smooth finish kind of situation. But I also use like the Andes, I think like trimmer finisher, whatever it's called. There's also an electric one, but it's just like very different. And I use that every few days really to go over my head to keep the hairs as low as possible. So I use like I don't know what you call it. I think it's like a triple blade, like low cut or close cut type of electric razor that goes over my head. And so I do that, I want to say about every 5 days or so. And then once I start seeing hair follicles kind of pop back up and I have like a 5 o'clock shadow on my head, I use the other like Andes electric razor and kind of just run over it real quick to bring the hair back down to a low cut. So I do that. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's pretty much all that I do to keep it low. As far as being able to moisturize my hair though, because that's the other thing, right? So it's one thing to like, be able to keep your hair low and go for like the nice bald look, but then you got to moisturize your scalp and stuff too. So for me, I just keep it 100% natural. I use shea butter and like raw coconut oil. That's the stuff that I've always been able to use and know like it's not going to dry out my scalp or anything. Because anytime I tried anything else, I had issues where I feel like I would find myself scratching my head or having issues like dandruff and stuff because your scalp is dry. So shea butter, raw coconut oil, and I'm not gonna lie, I buy my coconut oil, it's like straight from Nigeria. So like
Motherland approved.
Yeah, exactly. So I use that because I feel like, it locks in moisturizer and everything, or moisture for my head, for my scalp. So I do that. Oh, and then the other thing, bro, that I didn't even know was a thing until I went bald is scalp burn. So living out here in Houston, it's South Texas, like it's really hot, it's sunny, whatever. When you think about like wearing sunscreen on your skin, you need to be putting sunscreen on your scalp too, because scalp burn is very real. So I didn't realize that until I went bald, and I was kind of doing a little bit of research and stuff like that. So when I'm getting ready, I mean, I'm generally in the house because of COVID, but when I do go out, the thing I always put on.
On the show. It's on the show.
So if I do go out, I put on sunscreen on my scalp and everything after like the shea butter, like the coconut oil and stuff like that, just to make sure I'm preventing any type of scalp burn.
So the routine sounds super dope, bro. Obviously you're maintaining your scalp in the right way. Now, in order for us to be sure here, though, you know what I'm saying, at Come Home, we like to do this thing we call the ball check, right? It's called the ball check. We got to see what that ball is looking like right now. So right now we see it from the front. We need you to show us the side too, man. Show us what you're working with, man, because we really know what you got. Okay. Okay.
You can see it.
Too, man. Yeah, we can see it.
All right.
Okay. Are you official tissue? Okay. Official tissue. Check. Nobody comes up here without doing the ball check. We got to make sure all our guests got the smooth ball. So we appreciate you for doing that.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go to a few last questions here, bro, man. First question I'm gonna ask you is gonna be kind of like a lightning round. So just give us the first thing that comes to the top of your head when I ask you these questions. All right. So talk through a lot of your grooming products just now. What is your number one most important grooming product, you would say? Your number one most important. It can even be some of your beard stuff. What's your go-to? You got to have it.
Okay, yeah. So I have, like I said, so for my like actual scalp, I just use shea butter and coconut oil. But for my beard, I have a whole like men's grooming kit. So it comes with like a derma roller for like your skin, like right around here and everything. It has a detangler because as black men, we have very tight, very curly hair. So when you go to bed and everything at night and you wake back up, like your hair is kind of like locked up and gets tangled. So there's the actual detangling spray, and then you use a pick and you pick that out. There's a co-wash, like a beard co-wash. So I use that and everything as well. And then there is a balm and an oil, like a beard oil that you can use. And the beard oil, you can actually put it on your scalp too. So sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, when I'm doing all the men, like the beard grooming stuff, sometimes I use that beard oil and I put that on my head in place of like the coconut oil. So I would say, and it's called, I think it's called Steel Wool. It's like on Instagram. I'll pull it up if anything. Let me see. I think it's called Steel Wool or Steel Barber, something like that. It's a very, very, very good and effective grooming kit for beards and kind of even for your scalp and everything. I actually just looked it up, my bad. It's called My Steel Wool. So yeah, so I use that. So that's probably my go-to product for beard grooming, and I guess even sometimes like, bald and like scalp grooming too.
Okay. Now, we also know that a big thing for bald man is the hat. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously we can't really switch it up, bro. We don't got the option to go from fade, grow it out, do the afro, switch it up, get the locks. We ain't got no option. So a lot of men will start to wear different hats, man. So what is your go-to kind of hat, favorite hat?
My favorite hat for if I gotta go run some errands or I gotta go meet somebody, I gotta do whatever. Just a typical all black, solid baseball cap, fitted cap,
Okay.
Type of situation. I will say, when it gets a little cold, I do like beanies. I rock with beanies too. But my typical go-to hat is probably just a baseball cap. Yeah.
Black baseball cap. Okay. Bet. Next question we're gonna go into is like, man, we know it. There's tons of ball men out here that's killing it, man. There's tons of ball icons. You can think I could name off a list of ball men that are killing it in sport, business, acting, whatever it may be. I want to ask you, man, now that you're a ball guy, who do you see as the top three most iconic ball men? Top three.
So top three for me, that's a good question, actually. Top three. So number one dude that comes to mind, I'm also a Chicago guy at the end of the day. So I'm thinking about like who I remember seeing, like, playing for the Bulls when I was a kid, who was winning championships and everything like that.
Right.
Hands down, Michael Jordan.
Right.
So, cause I feel like I've always only remembered him be a bald man, a bald black man at that. So like in the media, I feel like he comes to mind first and foremost. Second person would be Boris Kojo, actually.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I remember, yeah, a lot of like, the older movies and stuff like that, like older like black films. I remember, or like even like Soul Food, the television show I was on, I don't remember, it was Showtime or something like that. I think I remember kind of watching a little bit here and there as a kid. Boris Kojo was also a ball man. I know he's half Ghanaian, I believe.
Yep.
So he's like, yeah, somebody else that comes to mind. He's been in Hollywood in the media for a while. And
Shout
he
out to
was
West
also
Africa too. Shout out to West Africa. Y'all know the vibes.
exactly. So I would say Boris Kojo for sure. And then third dude, let me think. I would say, okay, so funny enough, I'm thinking about like the best man, the wood. I'm like, oh yeah, Tay Diggs, but he actually had a fade back then. But I know Tay Diggs is bald now.
Ball now.
So,
Counts.
yeah, he's been involved for a minute actually. Cause I remember like, a couple of different TV shows I used to watch, I would see him on there and stuff like that. And so he's been involved for a minute, even though he technically had a fade on like the wood and the best man. He's been a bald dude for a while. So yeah, I would say Tay Diggs is probably number three.
No doubt. Okay. So now, man, we're gonna get into some questions that maybe a little bit deeper, man. Like I said, obviously we come home. It's about manhood, it's about racial natural evolution. So sometimes we gotta ask deeper questions.
Okay.
If you could talk to a man right now who was in the middle of just fighting that hair loss journey, you know how it is going through it, whether it's anxiety, it's embarrassment, lack of self-confidence as they're going through that hair loss journey. What would you say to them? What would be the words of advice you give to that man right now?
Um, I think I would say number one. I think I kind of probably touched on this a little bit earlier, but don't be ashamed
Mhm.
or feel alone when you're going through this situation, because I don't have the stats to say, oh, one in every five men go bald before the age of blah blah blah, but I can say a lot more people than you realize are actually struggling with the same thing that you struggle with. So there's no need to be embarrassed or be ashamed or feel any type of way. And I know that it's easier said than done, just because I feel like as Black men, like going to the barbershop, rocking a fade or having braids or, getting your hair locked, like those are huge components of our culture as Black men, right? So I think it's kind of hard to, I guess, wrap your head around being bald if that's not something that you wanted right off the bat. But I mean, it is what it is. It's just part of, I guess, nature, if that's what is going to happen to you. And I feel like, again, like I said, you'd be surprised at how supported you would actually be when you're going through those kinds of situations, just because so many people are going through it. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, I had no idea, besides you, Kenny. I don't know that I knew a lot of people going through it at some point. So I don't think I realized it until I actually went bald. And then a bunch of folks started telling me, like, oh, my hair is not really growing right. I just try to rock a low fade, or I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to cover this up, but I'm going through the same thing. I got patches, I'm going through blah, 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 blah. My hair is not falling out. I don't really get my hair lined up anymore because I can't even do a proper lining because of this, and that. So, I mean, from my own experience, a lot more people than you realize are actually going through it. So definitely don't feel ashamed or feel like, oh, like it's only me. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Like, at all. In fact, if anything, it's like a coming of age kind of story to me. Like, I don't think it's anything to be ashamed about. And so I would say that's probably like my first piece of advice. And then I think the second piece of advice would just be like, get in front of it, like the way I did. Like, once I was told, like, yeah, I was in denial for a little bit. I can't even lie. I was in denial for a little bit. but once I realized, like, yo, your hair is not coming back. Like, I think I just need to hear it being said. Like, when a dermatologist told me you're going through early male pattern balding, I was like, oh, wow, okay. And when she said, do you want me to write you a prescription for da-da-da? I'm like, no, I don't need a prescription. Like, if I'm bald, I'm bald. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go to the barber and he's going to take everything off and I'm just going to rock a bald look going forward. But, I had my little denial phase. But either way, my point is, don't be afraid to get in front of it. Like, there's, for every single person out there that probably feels like, oh, I can't rock a bald look, like it's embarrassing, or I'm ashamed, or people are gonna look at me and think that nobody's gonna think that. Because in my experience, I had talked myself out of being bald before I ever even really gave it a try. I mean, Kenny, you can attest to that, because you were trying to encourage me, and I was like, no, I can't make it work. But in reality, it's a vibe, and so many people actually really like it. So it's just one of those things where it's like, just get in front of it if you can. Like, there's no point in trying to like resist and stuff, because you can't fight nature. You can't, even if you say like, oh, no, hair, you about to grow, like, you can't make your hair grow. So if it's falling out, it's falling out. And at that point, I would say, yeah, wear with pride, like be bald with pride, and just, be bold with it. Cause I feel like it's actually a vibe. So yeah, those are my pieces of advice.
And at the beginning of that answer, Chuma said he doesn't know the stat, so he can't give y'all the stat. But luckily for him, I know the stat, right? So it's 2/3 of all American men are gonna start losing some kind of hair by the age of 35. So 2/3. So that's a lot of men. So when Chuma says you're not alone, clearly he's not joking. Quite a large amount of men deal with this issue. So don't feel like you're alone. And obviously at Come Home, we're building a platform to help you connect with other men who've been through that. So you don't have to kind of go through that. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. I think Daisy said it best. I went through that, so hopefully you ain't got to go through that.
Exactly.
So, Chuma, last question I got for you here, man. Before we wrap it up is, so we talked about this a bit earlier, but Come Home, obviously it's a brand where we're kind of celebrating the bald man, helping men through their hair loss journey. But again, it's also just about, helping men, embrace their natural evolution, embrace change, embrace their growth, and embrace their development. So it's also a bit about manhood, right? Because as you mentioned, it's about coming of age. So when a lot of men are losing their hair, they're also coming of age and becoming more of a man. So I want to talk to you a bit about, what does it mean to you to be a man? Talk to us about manhood. What does that mean to you?
Okay. So yeah, this is actually a very good question. I would say that, to be honest, I've actually had to like ask myself this question on like multiple occasions. And I think that like over time and more experiences and stuff like that, your answer may kind of change, or kind of like evolve, just because you evolve as a person. So I would say that right now, what it means to be a man, for me, in my opinion, I would say, I think it just kind of means like, I feel like this kind of sounds a little cliche, but really being like unapologetically you, right? So staying grounded, in your like values, or like in your beliefs, in your decisions, whatever those decisions may be, whether they're good or they're bad, you got to pretty much stay true to that, and be ready to deal with the ramifications or the aftermath of whatever those decisions may be. And I would say, owning those, at the aftermath, or owning whatever the situation may be. When you're in a situation, I keep using the word situation, I'm sorry. But I feel like when you find yourself going through something and you're kind of like, okay, I'm in between like a rock and a hard place. I'm in between a rock and a hard place, right? So this is kind of what I need to do. Like, I'm going to try my best to figure it out. I'm going to try to push this, move this mark forward. I'm going to try to figure out like what the solution is to push through stuff. Because, at the end of the day, I think the reality is, in your life, you're going to find yourself going through a lot of difficult situations.
Yep.
Obviously, from person to person, the situations will vary, but you're still going to face your own set of challenges. And I think being able to push through those challenges, like I said, holding true to what you believe in, making firm decisions, and just kind of, again, remaining like, rooted in whatever it is that your belief may be. I think that that's what being a man is, because when I say that, I mean irrespective of what the environment around you looks like. Like, if everybody's telling you like you need to go left, they're like, no, I'm a grown man. I'm going to stand firm in my decision. I need to go right. I don't care who's saying what to me. I don't care about whatever. I'm ready to face the challenges that go with turning right, in the event that like that might be the wrong decision. This is my decision right now, right? So I'm going to go do that. And, just again, like I said, being proactive and being ready to move through and work through whatever that situation may be when you come out on the other side. I think that's what being a man looks like, because really, I mean, life is hard, but
Yeah.
I think that even though life is hard, I think how you work through situations is a testament of like who you are and how you really look at how you view things. And so I think that that's probably what I would look at as how you quantify or how you categorize like a man, today.
Oh man, I appreciate that. As you went through that, some of the words that came to my head obviously is authenticity, which is one
Exactly.
that we touch on several times in this mini series.
Yep.
Another one I feel like came up there was accountability,
Absolutely.
a
Yep.
big deal. And then you also touched on persistence. So
Yes.
all three things I think that are obviously key values for a man to hold, or key traits for a man to have. So I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, those are definitely something that I hope everybody watching is taking in, using that insight to make sure that as you think about what manhood means to you, those are three things that you should definitely keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, dog, Chuma, this has been great, man. I appreciate you
Yeah.
stopping through, showing some love, kicking game. Proud to see you finally came home. I mean, we had so many
Right.
conversations about it, but you made the leap. You're killing it now. They threw you a
Yes, sir.
crazy housewarming, and I love to hear that. I love to hear that, bro. It's been
Yeah.
a blessing to reconnect, my dog. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell the people how they can find you on social media, man. Y'all make sure y'all give them a follow.
Yes, sir. So you could definitely find me on Instagram. My name on Instagram is MazicCJ. So MAZICJ. That's Evo, like my guy Kenny, Evo for boss or Mr. CJ. I'm on Clubhouse. I think it's MazicCoe if I remember correctly. So you can definitely link me on Instagram and Clubhouse for sure.
And also, we're going to get the clubhouse conversations jumping again real soon. So early on in like January, we're doing the clubhouse conversations, Chuma, where we're having guys to come together, just talk about all this kind of stuff in one kind of clubhouse. So we'll probably get it back jumping. I got to make sure I get you up there too.
Sure.
And last thing I need for you, y'all people, y'all make sure he gets me this. We need a picture of you from when you had hair in the past. All right. So you give me a picture. So when we throw this on the gram and throw this on YouTube, we'll have a picture to also drop, before and after pic. You heard me?
Yeah, I feel that. I can send you that.
All right, my
Not a
man,
problem.
my man. Yo, thank y'all for watching, man. And until next time, y'all know where to find us. This is Kenyon with Come Home, and this has been another episode of the Bold Miniseries. Catch y'all later.
All right. Thanks, Kenny.
For sure, bro.